Welcome back, everyone. This is the Sports Desk, and we are back to the original pairing, at least for a little bit. Stefan's running a little late today, so here we are. Splash and Jack, we're back.
Feels like the old days.
I'm going to point the right direction. Yeah, look at that.
You are.
Oh, that was like, that's swag.
I got it too. Let's go.
Oh, yes, that was beautiful. How's it going,
awesome,
man?
It's fantastic. We just had another crazy week in the NFL. I'm going to open today by quoting something that you posted on the app.
Okay.
And this sentence applies to both of us in different ways.
Okay.
There is a God and he wears number 9. I was like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, this makes sense for both of us right now.
Yes, it does. Man, okay. This man, Justin Tucker, hit from 66 yards. Not 56, not 59, not 61 like he did the last time we were in Detroit. 2013, December 2013, late in the season, Baltimore's trying to gear up for a playoff run. They're defending champions. They go to Ford Field, no touchdowns. Tucker makes 6 field goals. The last one is a 61-yard kaboom to stun Detroit. A solid Detroit team. Then he comes back to Detroit 8 years later. First off, Lamar Jackson, you're going to look at the stats, you're going to say, well, that's not that great. Because Lamar had 2 unreal throws that were touchdowns dropped. But when it mattered on the biggest play of the season to this point, Lamar delivered a dot to Sammy Watkins. What? Just unreal. Just the poise, the wherewithal, the swagger, Lamar Jackson believes deep down that he is the best quarterback in the NFL. And he makes one of the best throws we will see all season. It's like you want it between the linebacker layer and the secondary layer, usually. But the linebacker layer and the secondary layer is like this, and he just splits the difference beautifully, like a 30-yard bomb right to the Detroit 48. Man. And then, okay, listen, I know people are going to bring up the delay of game call. I agree. Detroit did get hosed, but I think Baltimore was the better team. And Marquis Brown dropped 2 touchdowns. Detroit's secondary played like dog crap. Like, they were bad. But Lamar was unreal. I don't know what Harbaugh and Greg Roman were thinking, not giving the ball to Tyson Williams. He's like averaging 6 yards a carry this season. It's like 3rd to Lamar and like Daniel Jones. So I don't know what that was happening. Yeah, but it was a delay of game. Look, at a certain point, I think a 66-yard field goal trumps everything. And even then, if you call the delay of game, then Baltimore has to move the football. They can't have that throw out of bounds. 66. Harbaugh said in an interview afterwards, 66 was as long as they were going. If it was 68, it's a Hail Mary. If it was 67, it's a Hail Mary. If it was 69,
speaking of 68-yard field goals, how about the Arizona Cardinals? They had a lot of belief in the former world record holder, Matt Prater.
Man, so. I think the best part of living is Gus Johnson. Like,
oh yes.
Like I
the
don't
fact
care
that Gus
what happens.
Johnson had to be calling that.
Oh yes. Just the way Gus Johnson like carries himself in the announcer booth is just like, I want to live my life like that. And it is so I'm so happy that he got to call that. And didn't he call it like a really good game week 2? Was it Arizona, Minnesota?
Yeah. He called Arizona, Minnesota.
Okay.
He's getting all the good games.
Oh, that was unreal. That was unreal. Jamal Agnew, big props, ties an NFL record with a 109-yard field goal return touchdown. Any other week, that's the highlight of the week. That might be the highlight of the month, most months. And then Justin Tucker, like an hour and a half later, sinks the longest field goal in the history of the NFL.
What a crazy week.
And Frankie posted a stat earlier. Justin Tucker 16 for 16 in kicks in the final minute of the fourth quarter. These 2 of these are from 60 plus, and one of them was from like 56 against Cleveland in Cleveland. That's outside, outdoors, folks.
Just no disrespect to Greg Zuerlein. Like, I'm low-key a little bit happy that he's not on the Rams and he's playing inconsistently as hell, because now I have no problem calling Justin Tucker the greatest kicker ever. Period.
Yeah.
Ever.
Like, okay. Here's my thing. Justin Tucker is unreal. He is the best kicker of all time. I have zero doubt in that. The greatest kicker, I still think is Vinatieri, and that's
Vinatieri's up there, yeah.
That's a
Definitely.
longevity thing. That's a playoff thing. Justin Tucker is struggling in the playoffs right now. He was perfect his first 2 playoff runs. Then he missed a 50-yarder against the Chargers. Then he missed like 3 kicks last playoff. So he was great in 2012. He was 8 for 8. But the last couple playoff runs, he hasn't been the same Justin Tucker. So best, yes. Most accurate, yes. But greatest, I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit on greatest because you have Vinatieri, a guy that has won 2 Super Bowls directly from his kicks, a guy that has made countless key field goals in playoff games. What's Justin Tucker's big moment in the playoffs?
Something in the Super Bowl, probably. I don't even remember.
I mean,
that.
the only game-winning kick he has in the playoffs is against Denver, double overtime game in 2012. That's it. Vinatieri won 2 Super Bowls. Then you have the Tuck Rule game that he was unreal in the snow in Foxborough. Much harder to kick in Foxborough than it is at Mile High. So I get where people are coming from with the GOAT. I think he's on track to be the GOAT, and I think he should be a Hall of Famer. I think special teamers deserve some more love in the Hall of Fame. Whether it's punters, Shane Leckler, kickers, this next crop of guys, even like Johnny Hecker. I think Hecker could be if he has another All-Pro season or 2, he could be like the third best punter ever. And like I would have no problem putting Leckler in the Hall of Fame. I would have no problem putting Devin Hester should be in the Hall of Fame. Cordero Patterson should be in the Hall of Fame. Those are no doubt slam dunk easy picks for me.
Absolutely.
Also, that guy on the Jets that was an all-time great special teamer. I'm blanking on his name for some reason, but essentially the Jets version of Matthew Slater. I think Slater should be in the Hall of Fame too. I'm all for these guys getting recognition for what they deserve to do. And even long snapper is a little weird, but Josh Cribbs, I like Cribbs a lot. Cribbs is on that second tier of returners that I don't think he was necessarily as Devin Hester, Cordero Patterson. He was awesome, don't get me wrong, but I do need to check out his All-Pro numbers. Like if you make the All-Pro team 5 times, I think you should be a guaranteed Hall of Famer unless you murder your wife. So
with that being said,
from murdering your wife, do you want to head into hot takes?
Yeah, we're gonna start with hot takes this week. Normally, it's kind of a new format for us. We're just gonna straight up start. I'm getting all the wrong ones. Hold on, there we go.
So we're getting spicy early today. So I'm all about the spice. What's the hottest thing you'd be willing to eat, Jack?
It's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah,
I'll have to think about that.
How about that Carolina Panther Reaper?
Oh boy, that's a funny way to call it.
Yeah, the Jabril Pepper X. There could be some fun ones. Le'Veon Bell Pepper. Hey, speaking of bell pepper, make sure you like the stream, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are creeping closer and closer to 100K on Insta. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you ring-a-ding-ding that Le'Veon Bell, the notification bell, so you get notified when we go live, like this. Or when I post one of my power rankings or quarterback rankings, whatever it may be. Anyways, we have, I believe, 8 hot takes today. Then we're going to get into some more football talk. Let's start. FTV, friend of the show, he's back. Water is 25% wet. How do you feel, Jack?
25%. Why is this still a discussion that we're having about, like, is water wet or not?
I don't know.
It makes things wet, but it is not wet itself, I think, is kind of where we're at right now.
I think water is 6.9% wet. So
Nice.
That's my take. All right, here we go. This is from Nick L. You're going to like this one.
Yeah, I see it.
Cardinals beat the Rams after 1 billion straight losses.
You know why Nick is commenting this is because he thinks it's a really, really hot take. Like, he thinks this is a Pepper X take because he was just commenting on my post earlier. He was like, congrats to the Rams on becoming the first 4-0 team this season. He's giving up already. He knows what our offense is capable of doing.
Yeah, I've definitely felt this way about the Chiefs-Ravens game, that there's sort of like I don't want this game to happen. But
I'm not as gung-ho on that. I think we're going to beat the Cardinals still. But
I think the Rams are better than the Cardinals.
yes, and I think we just need to like see the game happen before it actually like you know what I mean. Like we need to make sure like anything can happen in this league. We've seen it before. I thought that the Ravens were gonna suck against the Chiefs just like you did, and Lamar Jackson was in it.
Oh man, Lamar was unreal. So we have this hot take from Noah. I'm gonna bring in Mr. Stefan here, if he's ready. Give me a thumbs up, buddy.
He's not quite ready just yet. Oh no, yep,
okay,
yeah, he is.
There we go. Okay, here we have Stefan. He's back. Bucs over Rams when healthy. How do we feel about that one?
100%.
No.
Boom!
He's just going right in with the 100% one. I think people like where were most of their injuries today? Didn't they have like or yes, I say today. I mean like Sunday.
They were down some guys in the secondary. Sean Murphy Bunting was out. Antonio Brown had COVID. I believe Gronk missed some time. Did Gio miss some time?
Gronk came back to the game.
Okay, yeah. Gronk came back. I think Gio out? Because it looked
Gio
bad.
Bernard.
No, he has a ankle sprain. I think it said.
Okay.
Didn't he score touchdowns in this game?
Yep, he scored. He had 10 targets and a touchdown. See, normally that's a good idea, but 10 targets to Giovanni Bernard, it kind of scares me because they had to just dump it off.
I mean, I don't know what the Bucs were doing though for a lot of that game because of Mike Evans was on the bench for most of it, and he was.
It was
fine.
one of those ugly games that like next week they're gonna come back and like just dismantle New England.
I know,
so,
right?
Like,
I think we'll get into it more later though, but
yeah.
We will touch on a little bit of week 4 moving forward, but yeah, what a game. Rams whack the Bucs. I was wrong. I said the Bucs would win by 10 on Henry and my betting show. That didn't happen.
It was the opposite.
Yeah, all the credit in the world to the Rams. Great win. They are number 1 in my power rankings. Spoiler alert. So there's that. So let's take that down. This is one I like a lot. Yes. Antifa Alec, Mahomes deserves more heat for the last 2 games. Milk take. Just listen, folks. Patrick Mahomes is unreal. He's an all-world talent. He could win the MVP this year, and I wouldn't be surprised. But you need to criticize him when it's appropriate to criticize him. 3 of the last 4 games, he has played pretty poorly. And the one game he didn't play poorly, which I would say week 1 against Cleveland, he was outplayed by Baker Mayfield for 3.5 quarters. So the last 4 games for Mahomes, he was outplayed by Brady in the Super Bowl. Yeah, give me all you will about with the pressures and the stuff, but he was throwing passes to defensive backs. It'd be one thing if it was like a drop here. No, he was throwing passes to defensive backs, and he should have had like 10 picks, not 2. Then week 1 against Cleveland, Baker outplayed him. Just mano a mano, Baker outplayed him. Baker Mayfield outplayed Patrick Mahomes in Arrowhead. Are you kidding? What are you doing, Baker? Or what are you doing, Mahomes? Week 2, Mahomes wasn't good. Like, you show me the stats. He had 340 yards and 4 touchdowns. Splash. That's so good. Yes, I understand. That's good. But how much of that was yards after the catch? You guys remember Travis Kelce juking out the entire state of Maryland? Or you guys remember Byron Pringle running free down the left side because Baltimore has had a 46 PFF tackling grade in all 3 of their games. Baltimore can't tackle anything. Kansas City breaks a ton of tackles. And like 100 yards out of Mahomes's, 340 and 4 touchdowns was after the catch. And then he had the nice touchdown to the end zone, but that's probably a pass breakup. Most cases. Didn't happen to be, and Robinson made a great play on the ball, but that's not like a special throw. That's more of a great play by the receiver to haul it in. And then then he got outplayed by Justin Herbert. One of the interceptions wasn't his fault, although he was looking him off, or he was. I mean, like the no look pass.
Let me just put it this way: whether or not it's his fault, when your team turns the ball over 3 straight times to open the game. I mean, you gotta get some criticism. You can't just let that slide like the way I think some people are doing. You have to bring attention to that, especially against a team like the Chargers. Like, I'm not discrediting the Chargers defense. I think they played fantastic. I think Asante Samuel. Oh boy, I'm gonna hate playing against him next year.
Yeah, he's a stud. I hate to scout the name, but he is a clone of his dad. Like, he is a clone of his dad. He will be a ball magnet for the rest of his career. He's a guy that, health permitting, he's a 50 interception guy one day. And we don't have many 50 interception guys anymore. I want to say Ed Reed and Charles Woodson were like that last group of maybe like one random guy has 50, but Marcus Peters, Xavier Howard, they're not approaching 50. Although that's more of a X missed a lot of 2019. Peters is injured this year. And so Asante Samuel is unreal. And also I want to throw a shout out to Tavonne Campbell, a Chargers defensive back. I had never heard of him before Sunday. Forced 2 fumbles. I had a pass breakup. So he was very close to making my team of the week. So big props to you. I love hearing about players I've legitimately never heard of. And he was a superstar on the field Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it was a pretty strong. I don't want to like discredit this defense though. I still think they played fantastic, but you got to give them some. Mm-hmm. You got to let them. You got to like just you can't let it slide when they're playing the way they did.
Yeah, it was bad. It was Mahomes. I get it. I get everything you can say positive about Mahomes. I've said he was quarterback 1 for most of the last 3 years, but please calm down with the Mahomes, this, Mahomes, that. I get that he's exceptionally talented. I get it. But at the end of the day, he is not playing like the best quarterback in the NFL. He's not. Now, could he do that the rest of the season? 100%. So, I don't know. All right, a couple more hot takes, and we will bring our special guest on. This is from Tixa, friend of the show. Thank you for hopping on the chat. Jacoby Myers very quietly finishes as a top 25 fantasy wide receiver.
I can see that in a weird way.
I don't think he scored.
There's no
yet,
target share. Jonnu Smith.
Weird. Go ahead.
I'm trying to look for what he have this week. Was it like?
So Smith was terrible, and he had the drop that led to the pick 6. I do think Jacoby Myers is probably the best receiver in New England, including tight ends. So in theory, he should be the number 1 target, but I think New England is running such a conservative offense that it just doesn't matter.
I love this. I love that. I know that this is kind of a tangent, but I love this. Thank you. I will get to Cooper Kupp shortly. When we mention Rams Bucs, I will talk about this.
I do want to point out that I don't disagree with Holden saying that Kupp is a top 5 receiver, but I do disagree with just he leads the league in catches, yards, and touchdowns, therefore he's top 5.
I disagree with that.
It's week 3. Like
I think he's relying a little too much on the stats. Like I like the stats, the numbers look good, but you got to look at this in more of like a realistic perspective.
It's like Deshaun Jackson had 120 yards.
Yeah.
It's week 3, right? Or Tyler Lockett has like 5 50-yard touchdowns already, which is insane. But are you going to say he's a top 5 receiver because he has top 5 production for 3 weeks? I don't know. Yes, it's a historic stretch from Kupp, and it's one of, like, I think the only guys to match his stats through 3 games are Marvin Harrison and Andre Rison. So you're talking about a Mount Rushmore start to the season. So he can't really do much more there, but some of the consistency needs to be there. Like DeAndre Hopkins missed a game. And was a non-factor. Did he miss he was a non-factor against Jacksonville. Like, is it really fair to say, yeah, Kupp's a much better receiver, better than Hopkins? I don't think so. All right.
Should we just let Dan in now? I think he's ready.
I think his start is a Pepper X right now. If it's a hot take meter, his start is a Pepper X. He might come down to like Scotch bonnet by the end of the season. He's still gonna be hot though. That's a good.
He's so good.
He's ridiculous.
That's the thing. I did my top 100. There were 20 wide receivers. 20 wide receivers. There are so many dominant dudes out there. Every team, it seems, has an elite guy. Even like the Ravens and Marquis Brown. Marquis Brown is playing his tail off. He is a crisp route runner now. He caught everything that came his way weeks 1 and 2. Yeah, he had some drops week 3, but still the production from 3 weeks is great. It is off the charts, and he is torching secondaries across the league. It is unreal.
Crucifying him for those 3 drops.
Those drops were painful, man.
He should have had like 150 and 3 touchdowns. He should have had like one of those days.
He should have had a Miami Dolphins Week 1 2019 game, but instead he had like a run-of-the-mill bad passing offense game, even though Lamar's threw for like 280. All right, 3 more. God Alex says, not a take, but one time I said that there would be 3 double-digit win teams in the AFC West. You clowned me, but it's looking good now.
Alex, it's week 3.
Yeah, that
the Raiders
should be 3-0. Like there's
Denver. When you look at Denver,
and none of them have played each other. Well,
exactly.
Chiefs, they've had one of their 24? No, not 24. One of their 12 division games so far. Like
Chiefs and Chargers played each other. That's about it. And
yeah,
like
there's
the Raiders,
11 losses coming.
I don't think the Raiders can. I think the Raiders maybe get to 10, but that's about it. I don't see them getting 11 wins. And the Broncos are sure as hell not getting 10.
Yeah, this is contingent on Vegas or Denver, one of which getting to 10. That means they have to go 500 the rest of the year. I'm not opposed to that, but do realize they both have to play Kansas City twice. So in essence, you're probably asking for 7-5. And before you say, well, the Chiefs have sucked so far. Yes, Spagnuolo defenses always suck in September. Are you living under a rock? So that means the Raiders and Broncos would have to go 7-5 outside of the Chiefs games. And you might have to argue 7-3 outside of the Chargers games. Are the Raiders and Broncos good enough to win 70% of their games the rest of the way? I don't know the answer to that question. They both have to play Cleveland. Denver has to play Pittsburgh and Baltimore. They play Baltimore this week. Again, I mentioned Kansas City and the Chargers. They have to play Dallas. Both of them have to play Dallas. And the rest of the NFC East looks terrible, but we expected that. And then they play is it what, Chicago and Detroit? Is it Vegas, Chicago. Vegas, Chicago. So you have to beat Chicago, you have to beat Detroit, you have to go win, 7 more games. So I don't necessarily trust those. I think they're good teams, but I don't necessarily trust them to win 7 of the next 14, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay. We have a certain Jack Mitchell. Never heard of him before. Matt Stafford is the best quarterback in the NFC West.
What do you guys think of that one? I wanted opinions on that one.
I think he's QB3 in the division. And
you think he's QB3?
Yeah, and this is not a knock against Stafford. I said the other day on the show with Henry that there could be 5 West Division quarterbacks in the top 5 in like 2 years. Rodgers retires, Brady retires, Allen was awesome against Washington, but for the sake of this, Allen is 6, Lamar is 7, and no Deshaun Watson. Mahomes, Herbert, Kyler, Russ, Stafford. That could be your top 5 quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised. So he's quarterback 3 in my mind. But
I mean, it's
not the end of the world if you say he's the best. I think this is like a fine, like Tabasco take.
Sure. I think
unleashing his talents.
This is true. But I do think with Stafford, there is sort of a balancing act that he has to go, because he's not always it's weird. So think of Stafford like an elevator, right? So there's a floor, there's a ceiling. Stafford's ceiling has always been really good, but his floor has been, I'm going to lose some games for the Lions. I think McVay raises that elevator up. So like top tier Stafford is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, but bottom tier Stafford is still not necessarily elite, right? So I think Stafford is going to have some throws. Like he wasn't very good against Indianapolis. I thought he was really good against Tampa, and I thought he was awesome.
He started out against Tampa a little bit shaky. I think the way he bounced back was fantastic. But the way he started the game out, it looked like the Joe Buck and Troy Aikman were talking about how he was like not used to these high pressure situations, especially this early on in the regular season game. Like you put if he was still on Detroit, you put the Lions against the Bucs. That's not a high pressure game. Like no one cares about that. Yeah, we think the Bucs are going to just roll them over.
Yeah.
But you put him on the Rams, all of a sudden this game between the Rams and Bucs becomes gigantic.
And I think this is the most important home game of his career.
Yes. by far. I think it is, and
which is ridiculous.
Like it looked like he wasn't ready for it. Like it looked like this
Mhm.
was kind of a thing that like we need to understand like why the Rams brought him in is for these games, for this type
Right.
of scenario, and he was
Mhm.
just kind of off to a bit of a shaky start. And
sure.
he's kind of a streaky guy like we've seen before. But again, once he got going, he looked incredible. I think he looked incredible. So,
all right, Aaron, one more little take for us before we bring Dan on. This is from AV22. Panthers take the division by winning in Tampa week 18.
man, can you believe the Panthers are the only 3-0 team in that division, I think?
Yeah,
I honestly, yes, but their schedule's easy. It's just it's too much of an easy schedule. I feel like.
I think they should have lost to the Saints.
Yeah, okay. New Orleans was missing like 8 coaches. That one makes
fair.
sense.
That's fair.
In hindsight, that one makes sense. That was bad on me to bet on that so heavily. New Orleans. I do think New Orleans is a better team. I think they're a slightly better team than Carolina, but I don't necessarily trust Sam Darnold. He's been really good, but I do trust Jameis a tiny bit more. I trust Sean Payton more than I trust Matt Rule, and I trust New Orleans' defensive players more than Carolina's defensive players. Now, this is not to say that Carolina has a bad defense. Carolina's defense has been unreal, and they lead the NFL in everything meaningful. Absolutely, they deserve all of the credit in the world. They're the best pass defense, the best run defense, the best total defense, the best scoring defense. Everything is going to plan. They've taken advantage of a bad schedule, but like I said with Denver, they've whacked bad teams. I think I said it on the app. They've whacked bad teams. So I'm not going to knock them. It's not a 11-0 Steelers thing that they're slipping by the COVID Ravens or they're slipping by the Jags. I think they blew out the Jags, but you get what I'm saying. They're not slipping by bad teams. They slipped by Pittsburgh, slipped by Ben DiNucci or Garrett Gilbert. Are you kidding me? Carolina has whacked bad teams. Denver has whacked bad teams. So all the fair play to Carolina, they're 3-0. Fair play to Denver, they're 3-0. We will see if they continue to do this, but I think Tampa is just better than Carolina. So I think it's a Carolina Reaper that Carolina beats Tampa week 18.
That's fair.
Boom.
Okay.
All right. I think it's time to bring on Mr. Dan.
We ready?
How's it going, Mr. Dark?
He's got rage. He's got rage. He's going to let it out right now.
All right. Welcome to the show, Dan. Dan has the Time to BS podcast that's been on U Stadium for years now. Both Jack and I have been on it before. I got clowned for saying I got clowned for
both of us got clowned.
For disagreeing with Suns and 6. I don't think I've talked to Dan face to face since that, but I know your pain. You just got curb stomped by Minnesota. Kirk Cousins.
Let it out. Let it out.
Yeah.
Don't keep us in suspense.
The floor is yours, Mr. Seahawk fan.
What's he doing?
Oh boy. So for the uninitiated, was it 30-13 or was it 30-17?
This is normal for Dan, by the way, because nobody's seen him before. You good?
I agree with Teeksa here.
You might be creeping out some of our new viewers. So.
Dan's actually a returning guest. He was on one of our first 10 shows. He and Ari came on. That was a nice show back in the early days.
I'm relatively calm right now, considering I've had a couple days to digest this
Mm-hmm.
and let it marinate over time.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are stat guys. Tell me, how many yards did the Seahawks give up in the second half to Minnesota?
A lot. I don't have that off the top of my head.
I believe it was around 250 plus.
Okay, good stuff there, Pete Carroll.
How many yards did the Seahawks have on offense in the second half against Minnesota?
I'm going to take a stab and say 52.
Close enough.
Let me see. I'm trying to find it right now, actually.
Yes, me.
That's
too.
exactly how I am. Yeah, me too.
Oh man, there is nothing worse than losing in fantasy. Just nothing worse, man.
You lost to Kirk Cousins.
In fairness, Kirk Cousins has been playing really well this season. I don't think just
Highest
call him
QBR
Kirk
in the
Cousins. I think
season.
is a little unfair.
I think
I blame that secondary on that team. If anything,
Yeah,
Justin
was
Jefferson
really
and
bad.
Thielen were just.
I think the Seahawks were in a bad place as soon as they started. They were the team that made the mistake of letting Derrick Henry loose. As soon as he got loose, that game was over.
Yep.
They unleashed the beast that was Derrick Henry, and now
Actually,
he's
okay, guys, I want you to guess what Kirk Cousins had for QBR yesterday, not passer rating, QBR. Monday or Sunday.
120 plus.
Oh, it was
that's
150.
I'll take a passer rating. I think a passer rating. I think it's
So
92.
93.2.
Pete Carroll, ladies and gentlemen, a Florida head coach. I continuously say for years.
I love the
years.
enthusiasm.
For Pete's sake.
Ah, Pete's sake. See, it's hard for us because I'm not so an open wound. Jack's team, my team, even though we lost, Ravens team, we're still doing good. So it's nice to see like a fresh face and like a genuine reaction.
I don't even think Seattle's a bad team. They just they're not.
They're not.
They play
They're
two
just,
good
their
teams.
defense is
They
going to give them
do well.
shootouts.
Okay, timeout.
The Cardinals, Rams, and 49ers over the last 6 years have had significantly worse records than Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Am I wrong?
You're correct.
The Seahawks have a Super Bowl
You're right.
in the past
Seattle's
decade.
dominated the last 8 years or so.
Although, ironically enough, that
record-wise.
Seattle is the only team in the division to not go to an NFC title game in the last 6 years.
How much can I curse on here? What is the extent of my language?
PG-13.
PG-13. Good.
Did
How
you say that's fair?
the hell
Yeah,
is that humanly possible?
keep it within reason.
How is this humanly possible? The Rams, every other team in your division has been significantly worse than Seattle since 2016, and you are still the fourth best team in the division. How is this humanly possible? Humanly possible.
I mean,
They've had so much talent over the course of the last 12 years, since 2010, and you constantly underachieve. Constantly underachieve.
I seriously think this is a fair reaction, though. I mean, it is early.
I love the reaction.
We don't know yet, but I think this is a fair reaction because I feel like the Seahawks have absolutely been underachieving.
They've been underachieving since Super Bowl 49.
I think that
The
was
The second they moved into the grand trade. I'm not even at my worst. Give it.
You probably shouldn't
I got
get
the
there
schedule
because-
right here, but give it to Pittsburgh, week 6. I'm trying to start calling for some heads.
Yeah, if you lose to Pittsburgh, that
Oh,
I think
boy.
that would be a sufficiently bad loss. Nothing against Pittsburgh, but that's a game that Seattle should win. And I think even against a healthy Pittsburgh, I think Seattle should win.
That's yeah.
Like
Yeah,
TJ Watt
yes.
back, Bush, Deontay. I don't know what the heck Ben Roethlisberger thinks football is nowadays, but oh Lord, have mercy on my soul. Forever, I have to sit through and watch that as a division rival.
Jack, how long have I been calling for Pete Carroll's head?
A long time.
Ryan, how long have I been calling for Pete Carroll's head?
As long as I've known you.
Exactly. There are specific people on U Stadium. I will not name names. But there are specific people, not just in U Stadium, but people that I have grown to know over the last several years, called me a spoiled fan. Entitled fan. You have one Super Bowl, should have been two, back-to-back. They have made several trades. I'm not just calling this on Pete Carroll. I'm willing to call John Schneider out.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, look at the draft picks of the last 4 years. How many of them
It's bad. It is
It's
a
bad.
catastrophe.
It's historically bad.
Rashad Penny was a first-round pick.
I don't even need to look at
dislike Jordan Brooks, but
Rashad
Jordan Brooks
Penny-
was a first-round pick.
Rashad Penny, LJ Collier, Jermaine Ifedi, Jordan Brooks. Those are the 4 first-round picks that they had made.
You
And
need
then
to.
Malik McDowell.
I'm gonna also just-
Malik McDowell. is
Since
now playing
no,
in college.
specifically first. Okay, if we're
Yeah, I know
going
what you're
specifically
saying.
first picks, Malik McDowell's there. He never played a snap for them. Was cut after 2 years.
He's been balling.
LJ Collier can't get on the field. Rashad Penny could have been taken in the 4th round.
Agree.
I'm just
Jordan
gonna go
Brooks.
back to the draft this year, honestly, as well. By the way, because like the Seahawks had 3 picks total in the draft.
Yeah, that was Jamal Adams was the first-round pick. I think that's fine. Adams is a good player. I don't mind the Eskridge pick. I think it was a little early, but I get it. You have 3 picks. You can't really deal with that.
At least they picked Metcalf. Yeah, they were spoon-fed Metcalf by the Patriots' stupidity.
Oh, and then we have the resident Patriots fan here. Look, the thing with Seattle is you've had an elite quarterback for the last 5-6 years.
You've had a Hall of Fame quarterback for 10 years.
This is true.
Hall of Famer.
This is true.
Arguably the greatest player in franchise history, and he might want out. He might pull a Carson Palmer and ask for a trade.
And though it may seem
Someone's got audio.
a simple lock
Right.
puts space between the thought and the trigger.
Okay.
That's unsettling.
That was from ESPN. Thank you, ESPN. Suicide prevention. Okay.
I might actually need it after this season.
Okay, relax.
Okay.
Sorry,
slow
I'm
down.
Tiger, easy
I'm
Tiger.
kidding. You know I'm kidding.
This is-
Stop it.
This is when I have to go. So behind the scenes, when I monetize these videos, I have to put in some like checklist and make sure there's nothing like explicit. There's no nudity. There's no nothing like that. And like one suicide joke is just gonna be like,
My bad. Sorry. This is why we have warnings. Sorry.
you're good.
YouTube,
You're good.
take it easy.
Can we just edit it out? Can we edit it out somehow?
Might be able to.
Maybe I don't know.
Might
Who
be able
knows?
to.
All right, ad. Yeah, hashtag ad. You
Hashtag-
guys have
Sorry,
gotten the, you guys
Rich.
have gotten the ad, right? I don't know how often you use ESPN.
Rich,
Not
I'm
100%.
waiting for hockey season to this point.
Yeah.
We will get to hockey season, by the way. I'm gonna touch on that a little bit more closer towards the end.
Yeah, my Red Wings.
If the Seattle Seahawks finish under 7 wins this season,
They will not.
I don't know about
fire
that.
They will not.
everyone. Fire everyone.
Okay. I will say I think you're having a slight. I get what you're saying, but I think you're having a slight overreaction to looking at the record and seeing 1 and 2. I understand. I understand. The Ravens were a bounce away from being 1 and 2, and I would have felt the same things. But at the end of the
Did you
day,
not do this with John Harbaugh years ago?
2015 was weird. But yes, if
There you go.
Lamar in
Oh, that's my
2018
case.
the 4 and 5 start, if Flacco had stayed in, I think you can Lamar. You can Lamar. You can Flacco.
You can Harbaugh.
Flacco.
You absolutely
You
can
can
Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson
Seattle,
saved his job, yes.
yes. Seattle has played better than 1 and 2 It's like Minnesota. Minnesota has played better than 1 and 2. So if you are looking at Seattle and you say, they lost to Tennessee, who got whacked by Arizona, that I think was a little unfair. And they lost to Minnesota, who was 1 and 2. That's a little unfair as well. Minnesota could very well be 3-0.
Yes.
And yeah, Arizona, yes, they did whack Tennessee. And I get that that's a pretty bad loss, especially when you're a Seahawks fan and you're going to compete with Arizona. But there were a lot of circumstances going on. That's week 1. First of all, week 1, Chandler Jones has the game of a century, essentially, against Taylor Lewan was getting run over by Byron, was it either Murphy or Baker? He was getting run over by defensive backs. He was in no headspace to play in that game. So, yes, the Cardinals went into Nashville and whacked Tennessee. I get it. And Minnesota was technically 0-2 before they killed Seattle. I get that. But Seattle, on the continuum from 33% wins to 67% wins, I think they're like a 60% win team. But you're not going to see that in a 3-game sample size.
No, they should not be 1-2. Just like you said, they should not be 1-2. They should be at least 2-1. The Titans' loss was bad. I'll give him that.
Tennessee, that was unfortunate because Tennessee did have a touchdown taken off the board. I think.
Yeah,
that was egregious.
Julio was inbounds. Julio was inbounds.
They probably should have made it on a safety, but I think the referee snorted some cocaine beforehand.
Don't even get me started on that, by the way. There was...
we got ref ball here, folks.
Now, you understand my frustration, though. Ryan, you should know this better than anyone. You should know this better than anyone as someone whose head coach has given you headaches over the course of 10 years.
Yes, like we have one ACC bowl, we have one countless playoff game. But yes, in the regular season, it is hard. When we were 2-2 in 2019, after getting curb stomped by Cleveland, there are some rumblings like, "What's going on, man?" 2018, same thing. We started 4-5. What's going on, man? Figure it out. 2017,
they have 2 playoff wins. The Seahawks do since 2016. With all this talent that they have had since 2016, they have 2 playoff wins to show for it. 2 singular playoff wins.
And there was what? Detroit?
Green Bay.
No, they had to be in Green Bay in the playoffs, and
my brain screwed up. No,
it was. I'm trying to remember this. It was Detroit and Philadelphia. It was Detroit and Philadelphia. Yes.
Was it Philly? In what? Is it 18? No, it was 19.
No.
Was it Philly? No, Philly beat.
Since 2016 they have 3. Actually, I'm mistaken.
Okay.
I could be hardly wrong.
They beat. So Seattle lost to Atlanta in the 16 playoffs. So they
missed the playoffs in 17.
They beat Detroit in 16. Then they missed the playoffs in 17.
They lost to Dallas in the first round in 18, and then beat Philadelphia in 19.
I think that was a bogus loss. You might win that game if you have Janikowski rather than Michael Dixon kicking. That was just a goofy one on the road at Dallas.
That was a pretty bad loss to Dallas, though.
Yeah. The 19, it was because
Philadelphia. It was Philadelphia, and then they lost to Green Bay because Aaron Rodgers.
Wait, was that not the double doink game? Or that was 18. That
was the Bears.
That was the Bears
and Eagles.
So I get what you're saying, and it does suck to have an elite quarterback and you not win anything. I get it.
They've become the Washington Capitals of the NFL.
Hey, the Capitals did win.
The Capitals did eventually get theirs.
They did win.
One.
But none.
It was it was at the end. It was at the end.
You get my point.
Yes, I do. But this is the thing with the NFL that you're looking at. We're looking at a 3-game sample size. Any other sport, you're looking at a much larger sample size. If we are having this conversation about your Isles and they were 5-10, yes, we're having an issue. Or if we're looking at
an island, but this is coming from an island. If I've expected nothing but disappointment in all my life.
Don't diss the Caps. Like as a Braves fan, the Braves weren't over 500 until for 109 games. It took them 109 games to get over 500.
Exactly.
The NFL, you have a 3-game sample size right now, and you're going to have a 17-game sample size on the season. So I don't know. I think records are screwy every year. I think Pittsburgh has swung two wildly different directions the last 2 years. That they really weren't an 8-win team in 19. They really were bad. They were terrible.
Send Trey Flowers to the moon. By the way,
I know.
Send Trey Flowers, their starting corner, to the
time.
moon.
I think of Trey Flowers.
Starting.
I always think of Todd Gurley, just the most vicious stiff arm ever. If you could hear that, I'm double jointed, so that sounded.
By the way, speaking, I get, Jack, you should also know this better than anyone because you're in my division and you had Jeff Fisher as your head coach, who also was a defensive coach, who also is from USC. He played at USC though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
He played at USC.
He's from LA. That's about all I know.
But you should know this better than anyone out of the three of us in this room, because you had Jeff Fisher.
Jeff Fisher still is. I was going to say was. He still is one loss away from becoming, in terms of most losses, the worst head coach ever. I wouldn't call him the worst head coach ever. I'm saying just by strictly by the number. Like if he gets one more loss, he has on his own the record for most losses as a head coach.
Okay, I think there's a little bit of burying the lead there. That if you're that bad, like Steve Wilkes was a train wreck, but he only got 16 games.
Yes,
I don't think that's fair because Fisher did have some good years with the Oilers, Titans.
I can understand that.
But you get what I mean.
Yeah,
though.
I get what you're saying. That there's such mediocrity there.
The connotation around Fisher pretty much was not the right place at all.
7-9, baby.
But to prove my point, the rest of the division has been significantly better than Seattle. If you want to go back even further, since 2012. Since 2012, the entire NFC West has had a significantly worse record than the Seahawks.
Yes.
If you want to include the 49ers in there, for the last 6 years, the Rams and the Cardinals in particular, the Cardinals have had, oh my God.
Yeah, the Cardinals have been a trend outside of 2015. They've been a outside of the Carson Palmer 3-year run. They've been a train wreck. San Francisco would have these spurts that they were really good. Like they went to 3 straight NFC title games for a good reason. Then they missed the playoffs every year until poof, they're in the Super Bowl again. So I get what you're saying, and Seattle does have that consistency that they are always winning 9 or 10 games. They are always in contention for the NFC West. While these other teams, they bottom out. Like we are 13 years removed from the Rams being 1-15. We are just a couple years removed from Arizona and San Francisco being the number 1 overall pick without a trade and the number 2 overall pick without a trade. These are catastrophes.
Exactly.
But they have these they have these weird peaks. Arizona went to the NFC title game in 2015. San Francisco went to a Super Bowl 2 years ago, and the Rams went to a Super Bowl in 2018.
The Rams have the second coming of the greatest show on turf.
This is true.
We will discuss.
The Rams have the second coming of the greatest show on turf.
Should we actually? I feel like we should just jump right into our recap. I guess. I mean, it's we're almost 50 minutes in, but we should probably start.
Go for it. My fault. I've been late.
I think I talked about.
No big deal.
All right. Do we want to go game by game on your ticker, or
we can
any
just
orders?
kind of rapid fire it, and then we'll.
Okay.
Jackson, yes, Teek said Jacksonville did make an AFC Championship game.
Jacksonville, don't get me started on the Jaguars.
They are a train.
Oh God, dude.
Okay, yeah, let's start in Houston. Carolina 24, Houston 9. I thought Sam Darnold looked really good. Like when he knew what he wanted to do, which is throw the football, he looked very good. When there was any hesitation.
Oh, you Jet fans.
I'm a Jets fan. I'm not what?
I'm talking about Mountain View Stadium. You did this all the time.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
Did I not say But before the draft, when the Jets had the second overall pick, it would be a terrible mistake to trade Sam Darnold. Did I not say that?
Okay, I don't recall you saying that.
I said that. I said the Jets should take an offensive lineman at number 2. And I had
I was a Sewell guy at 2. I was a Sewell guy at 2.
The Jet fans did this with Geno Smith. They did this with Sanchez. They did this with Tim Tebow, Sam Darnold, Josh McCown, Ryan Fitzpatrick.
It's magic.
Christian Hackenberg, Bryce Petty. If you want to go further, Brett Favre and Chad Pennington.
Chad Pennington.
They do this every year. They do this every year. Where they hype up their quarterback when they completely realize, hey, it's not just the quarterback, it is the whole team that stinks.
It's the whole team.
It's the whole team that stinks.
Okay, I'm going to have to push back.
Ryan, I know you're not a Jet fan. Jack, I know especially you're not a Jet fan. But Jet fans in particular do this every year.
Yes,
every
I agree.
I can agree.
I will push back and say Jets fans did have some reason for optimism on defense. Mosley back, Carl Lawson back. Lawson, of course, is hurt. Quinn Williams, too. They have some reason to be optimistic defensively. But I just am at a loss for why Jets fans had realistic expectations after Carl Lawson went down. Like, this is a team that went 2-14, probably could have gone 0-16 pretty easily.
Should have been 0-16.
If the Rams have any other performance than they have that day, the Rams win. If the Browns have a wide receiver, they win. And look,
I don't want to hear about that loss anymore. Okay, Jared Goff's gone.
This is a bad Jets team. This is a catastrophically bad. This is a inept organization. This is at the roots. It is bad. It is all ugly. There are very few positives out of the organization. It's Mekhi Becton, who is currently hurt. It's Quinnen Williams, who is not always healthy. Carl Lawson just ruptured his Achilles. CJ Mosley's played a game and a half. Like, he's played 3 quarters in 2 years. Now he's been playing this year. He didn't play very well against Denver. And then you have this, shiny new quarterback, Zach Wilson. Frankie went on a show and said Zach Wilson's going to be an MVP consideration next year. Slow down. Slow down, please. I get the talent that you have. You have Mekhi Becton. You have Elijah Vera Tucker. He was most people's guard 1. That's fine. You have 2 good pieces on the offensive line. Connor McGovern, he was really good last week. He didn't play very well this week. Then Greg Van Roten, what are you doing?
Speaking of McGovern, did we see that nonsense that happened on Instagram?
I'm actually going to defend McGovern here that most fans are stupid. And if you look at a screenshot or a still, you're not going to be able to tell the whole picture.
Exactly.
I'm siding with him in this situation. You don't know, Denver 90, 98, 99 is just kind of standing there. You don't know if he's in the tape, he could be sprinting full speed, or he could just be sitting there like a QB spy sort of thing. That would be dumb, but you get what I'm saying. That
fans can be interesting.
He's so wide open. Why didn't he see him? Maybe it's not in the read. Maybe it's a 1, 2, 3, and then look, he's running free down the sideline. That's not the main read. So
I feel so bad though. I feel bad. I keep getting the show off track.
I think fans are objectively. Fans are too quick to draw conclusions. They are too meme-ified, if you will.
I've done it plenty of times before on Twitter too. Like, sometimes I'll scream at the TV, like, "Why the hell is that PI?" And then I realize I see it in slow motion. Oh yeah, that's PI. Mm-hmm. Sucks. So it is what
let's jump back to Carolina, Houston. I like what I saw out of the Houston front 7. I thought they were able to generate some pressure. I think Sam Darnold falls into the same category of Daniel Jones, that there is no pocket presence. Like, it's a very minimal pocket presence that if he gets strip sacked, he doesn't feel it, right? So it does lead to – Daniel Jones has played very well this season. We'll get into it with the Giants-Falcons game. I like what I've seen from Daniel Jones. I've liked what I've seen from Sam Darnold, but you're still going to have some of those fumble issues. And same thing with Lamar Jackson, same thing with even Michael Vick back in the day. There's Kerry Collins. Some quarterbacks just fumble the ball a lot, and I get it. But I think Darnold has made significant strides as a thrower of the football. He has been accurate. When he is on platform, he has been terrific. Actually, he's graded out really well under pressure. But when he is on platform, time to throw, he is hitting his throws. So there is nothing wrong. There's nothing to complain about there. And he has been much improved. So congratulations to Sam Darnold. Davis Mills is not a catastrophe, which is saying a lot because the rest of the rookie quarterbacks this week were catastrophes. Mac Jones was okay, but 3 interceptions.
Moving on.
Glorious.
We already kind of touched on this game. Chargers 30-24 over the Chiefs. They had the 4 total takeaways, 3 straight to open the game.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly was surprised that the Chiefs even were able to get back in it, which is saying something because the Chargers are kind of notorious for this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. You better believe when Justin Herbert threw the touchdown to Mike Williams with like 40 seconds left, I'm like, there is 0 chance that this Tristan Vizcaíno dude makes the extra. There's negative chance. One, because the over-under line was 54.5. So if he makes it, the over hits. If he misses, the under hits. So this is one of the worst beats of the week because you have to rely on a Chargers kicker to miss extra points. He missed 2, by the way.
Chargers still can't make kicks.
Mahomes is going to win this game, isn't he? Mahomes is going to have some stupid play. It's going to be all over everything, and it's going to be the highlight of the day. On the day that Justin Tucker made a 66-yard field goal, Patrick Mahomes is going to steal the day. Somehow that didn't happen, and the Chargers won. The Chiefs are last place in the division. They are under 500. Do you guys know what happened the last time they were under 500?
Can I just say how bad the Chiefs' defense has been historically the last 4 years?
I have pushed back on that. But the last time the Chiefs were below 500, coming off a loss, they were 1-5 in 2015. They won out and then whacked. I mean, they took Houston behind a woodshed and beat them like no team has been beaten at home in a long time. 30-0 in a playoff game. That doesn't happen. That just straight up does not happen. So that's the last time Kansas City was under 500. They were 4-5. Technically, they'd won 3 in a row to get to 4-5. They won their next 7, clobbered Houston, and then was that the year? Then they lost to New England.
Yes, they lost to New England. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. So that's the last time they were below 500. I just want to throw that out there. So that, yeah.
Okay.
Push back on the Chiefs defense point. Steve Spagnuolo defenses always struggle in September. I wrote about it 2019 before they won the Super Bowl. They went in and cleaned the Chicago Bears clock. Granted, it's the Chicago Bears. They cleaned Chicago out for all they were worth, and people said, well, it's just the Bears. It doesn't matter. And I'm like, no, this Spagnuolo defense has figured out something. They're going to be awesome in the playoffs. And they were for 3 quarters against Houston. They were against Derrick Henry, and they held San Francisco to 20 points. So
Fine.
I get the pushback. They've looked terrible. I agree. They are out of position. Tyrann Mathieu hasn't played particularly well. Chris Jones is adjusting to a new position. He hasn't played well. I don't know what the heck Daniel Sorensen is doing. I don't know what the heck L'Jarius Sneed is doing. Nick Bolton looks like a rookie. I get it. Everything is going wrong.
Frank Clark is an idiot.
Yes. Everything is going wrong for the Chiefs. But Steve Spagnuolo defenses historically get a lot better as the season goes on. And this is a team that in January, I don't want to face the Chiefs in January. Does anyone in the AFC want to face them in January? The
Church of Josh Allen would like to disagree with you.
Mahomes was hobbled and had the best game of his career against Buffalo in the playoffs. I've never seen Mahomes better. I will go to the grave with that. Mahomes against Buffalo on a hobbled, like Andy Reid had the perfect game plan. Patrick Mahomes executed it to perfection. The last couple weeks, he hasn't executed a similar game plan to perfection.
What's he up to? I changed my tab.
I don't know. Because Baltimore played him really well. Baltimore allowed 35 points in a good defensive effort, which somehow, and the Chargers only allowed 24.
You dare disrespect the great Church of Josh Allen.
I didn't disrespect anything of Josh Allen. I said Patrick Mahomes balled out.
I think he just had to do his bit.
Yes, I did. I absolutely did. Okay, going back.
Okay, we'll get to Buffalo in a little bit. Chargers big win over the Chiefs. Cardinals 31, Jacksonville 19. We had the longest play in the history of the NFL, Jamal Agnew.
I cannot believe for like a solid hour, I thought that the Jaguars were going to win this game.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Arizona looked rough.
Something is wrong with my head. I thought that, Trevor Lawrence was looking okay.
Nice. Oh, he had a beautiful touchdown to DJ Chark.
Yeah,
I wish
that
we
was
could we could play it
disgusting.
without
Oh,
getting
jeez.
demonetized, but he had a dot to DJ Chark. And look,
Chef's kiss.
all of the rookies have sucked. Lawrence has
Yes.
sucked. Well, besides Mac Jones, Lawrence has sucked. Wilson's has sucked. Fields was a catastrophe. I'll get into that game when we get to Chicago. That's the next one. And Trey Lance just hasn't played. I don't know what vendetta he has against Kyle Shanahan. I don't know whose girlfriend he's like seeing behind the scenes. Like, what is going on in Santa Clara? What is going on? You are playing you are playing an objectively bad quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. What are you doing? You cannot run the football. Look at Baltimore. Look at Baltimore, please. They're down. They're number 1 running back. They're number 2 running back. They're third down running back. Le'Veon Bell sucks. I don't know. Okay, Le'Veon Bell hasn't played yet. Devontae Freeman is a trash can. A trash can. They don't run with Tyson Williams. Trenton Cannon was shipped off to who knows where, a.k.a. San Francisco. Latavius Murray is slow, but Baltimore still is able to run the ball. Why? Because they have a freaking running quarterback named Lamar Jackson. Why aren't you using why aren't you using Trey Lance? Why are you using Trey Lance more? You had one play, I think, just the one snap he was used against Green Bay. Green Bay had no idea what the heck was going on, and it was a quarterback power I could have seen from a mile away if I'd never watched football in my life. Are you kidding? Although I am a Ravens fan, so I have an eye for that sort of thing. Why aren't you using Trey Lance? Man, he's been the number 3 pick on him. You can't run the football without him. This is it.
You can't. This would be a disaster. This was a disaster since day one.
I love how we're on Arizona, Jacksonville, and I'm going off again about San Francisco. Anyway, okay.
We'll get there.
Arizona did look particularly great for 3 quarters. They turned it on late. Jacksonville did a good job of punching them in the mouth. Jacksonville's not the worst team in the NFL. They're pretty bad, though. They're horrendously run. They're trading C.J. Henderson for Dan Arnold. What are you doing?
I know I mentioned this before. I still laugh about how Jaguars fans were calling him like, oh, he's going to be the guy. Who's this Jalen Ramsey guy anyway? We're just going to have C.J. Henderson be our replacement. Next thing we know, Ramsey's CB1, and now Henderson is like, I don't even remember where they trade him off the top of my head.
3rd round pick and Dan Arnold.
To where?
To Carolina.
To Carolina, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had to because J.C. Horn is out for the year.
Yeah, that's true.
Makes sense.
And we don't know what we're going to get from or they don't know what they're going to get from AJ Bouye.
You want to go off about Fields?
Yeah.
Can I take this over, please?
Sure. Go ahead.
Chicago, what are you doing? So, let me rephrase it. Matt Nagy should be fired in the next 20 minutes.
He should have been fired 20 minutes ago. Actually, while Dan is discussing, I'm going to show 5 objects that are better at pass protection than the Bears' offensive line.
Me? That's 6.
Object 1.
It looks like a potato.
It's my bag that I have.
Object 2.
My object 2.
Oh, wait, Brandon. There we go. Wait.
Oh, God, it just fell. It just fell. My camera came up.
Object 3. It has a nice zipper. This is better, ladies and gentlemen, this is better protection than the Chicago Bears offensive line. This one zipper.
Jack, you okay there, man?
All right, object 3. This is a manual. I don't know if the Bears offensive line can read, but if they could, they wouldn't be able to understand this. I don't think I can either. I think I'm on the German page.
Jack.
Here?
Yeah, we can hear you.
My camera.
Good job, man.
Okay, so that's object. So I have 1, 2, 3. I need 4th object. Here's something that pass protects better than the Chicago Bears.
I'm assuming that is all the joke material you coupled up earlier.
What?
Was that the material, the jokes that you were about to say?
We're good.
Oh yeah, it says 1 grilled mac and cheese sandwich, 1 peach
Jesus.
blueberry.
That sounds
smoothie.
good.
Oh man! Oh my goodness! It was slapping.
Can we?
Shout out to Panera. We're not sponsored.
So-
We
Great
should be.
sandwich debate.
So pretty much what happened there, by the way, for everybody who saw that nonsense, was my Xbox.
Oh, here's
controller.
number 5. This is another little booklet. Thank you, BetUS.
I was like,
You pulled the
I
peak
was
out.
like-
You pulled the
I was,
peak out and you
joking with
choked.
my Xbox controller, like so, and then it knocked something over on my desk, and then my camera came unplugged, and everything came with it. So that was fun, but we're good.
Yes. Okay.
We're good now.
So thank you, Tixa.
I hope you guys enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was glorious. Okay.
That was-
Okay, I'm gonna make one point. I'm gonna make one point about the Bears, and then Dan, you can go.
Okay. You're kicking me
Justin Fields plus Bears offensive line equals the worst match in history. Like, if you put any other quarterback, I don't even care if Fields is better than the quarterback. If you put Davis Mills in that offense, it's not going to be as bad as it was with Fields. But Fields, what Fields does, he tries and he like looks for the second option, looks for the third read, whatever it may be. And he is a slightly slower processor than you want. That's okay. That is okay. You don't have to be Brady. You don't have to be Matt Ryan is a really quick processor and he's been terrible this year. But Fields, Chicago allowed so many quick wins. Myles Garrett had one play that he looked like he frame skipped. I wish I could show this for copyright. This man went from here to here in negative seconds. Not even 0.2, negative seconds. This man went from here to here. Noted that you don't see the bottom.
That's funny.
Yeah, he went from here to here.
You drink a lot of power right there, man. Your
Yes,
brain
dude.
should be better than that.
Jason Peters was for 10 seconds, and Garrett was like, are you kidding? Oh. Okay, Dan, go ahead. I'm just frustrated with this Chicago offensive line.
Matt Nagy should have been fired a couple of years ago. Ryan
Agreed.
Pace should have been fired after he made the Mitchell Trubisky trade and then pick.
I'm not opposed to Trubisky. I understand some pushback there, but
Okay, fair point. Yes, Trubisky is not his fault. The Bears are just
bad.
horribly run, horribly coached.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but screw it anyway. I'm sure most Bears fans are waiting for Virginia McCaskey to turn over in their grave.
You're not. I don't think you're wrong there. Out of pocket,
The
maybe.
McCaskey
Not wrong.
family- I'm not right?
No,
No,
you're,
I'm
you're
serious.
not
I'm
wrong.
pretty sure if you were to get Bears fans, most Bears fans would probably agree with me that they're just eventually waiting for the owner to die.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's you hate to say that like that,
Dark
but
as hell, I'm sorry, but dark
Yeah,
as hell, I'm
I-
sorry, but
yeah, I understand what you're saying. I think there's quite a few teams that you'd prefer to not have the ownership, say like the New York franchises. I'm sure none of them want to be owned by Dolan or the Do the Wilpons still own the Mets?
No. That's the Cohens now. I think.
no.
Okay. Steve Cohen is a mess. I don't know
Or
what
you
he
co-
thinks
or
baseball
you
is
could add-
nowadays. Go Braves. Chop on, baby.
Or Charles Wong.
All right. Anything on the Bears? We have several more games to go through.
This game, this I just kind of want to move on and get back rolling because this
Okay.
went. This is a disaster on my end that happened while we were talking about this. So,
All right. Bills. Josh Allen is back, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Dan is
Dan
gone.
vanished.
Josh Allen is back, ladies and gentlemen. His demise was over exaggerated, not even exaggerated, over exaggerated.
Was
He's
greatly
back.
over-exaggerated,
This Washington
I believe is the
defense is
quote.
hot trash, man. This Washington defense sucks. It is horrendous. There's two bright spots. It's whichever interior defensive lineman decides to play like an all-pro. So the last 2 weeks it's been Allen, then Payne, and Chase Young. Chase Young has been okay. The secondary has been a train wreck. The linebacker core has been a train wreck. Cole Holcomb was terrible. Cameron Curl has not lived up to expectations that I had for him. Landon Collins has also not lived up to the expectations I had for him. This Washington team is a horror show.
There's your explanation for what happened to Dan.
Okay. And if the dumbest thing that happened to a kicker was not a 66-yard field goal, it was not a 109-yard kick six. It was Dustin Hopkins recovering his own kickoff.
Oh, my goodness.
How that was more offense than the Washington football team had most of the day. It was that bad. So Buffalo, huge win. Congratulations.
Buffalo did what they should have done against an NFC East team. That's what I'll say.
Correct. Colts, Titans win by 9. Nothing much to say here. The Titans have a pass rush. I was right. All of you clowns were wrong. The Titans have a good defense. I don't want to say good defense. Have a better defense than you thought they would. So, kaboom.
Indy's interesting. What are they? 0-3 this year? I don't think they're
Indy's not as bad as 0-3.
Horrible 0-3 team. They're not as bad as their record shows. I mean, they were in there in the game against the Rams. They were in there
with better quarterback play. They're probably 2-1.
Yeah.
Seattle was a much better team. They're probably two. Yeah, they're 1-2, maybe 2-1.
1-2, I think, is more fair, but they wouldn't be 0-3.
Titans look scary. Julio Jones, AJ Brown is hurt. Tannehill's been playing really well though. Derrick Henry is unreal.
Julio looks fine.
Yeah, Julio.
I don't think he's. I think when the trade first happened, we kind of said he wasn't going to be like up. Like he definitely wouldn't be wide receiver 1. Julio is certainly going to be wide receiver 2.
Tremendous.
He's looked great this year.
I do want to say Odell Beckham is back for the Browns. We didn't touch on the Browns much. Odell is back. He looked amazing. Just so smooth, so effortless. This is off an ACL too. So big props to him for coming back. I love seeing Odell play football. All right, Saints.
There's another certain receiver that also recently came off an ACL a couple of years ago. I'll mention him in a second.
Okay, yes. Saints 28, Pats 13. I don't know what the heck. New England is so conservative. They are so conservative that Donald Trump thinks they are like off kilter. I was trying to think of a political joke, but I think I used it the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, I get it at least.
Yeah. Actually, I said Houston's game plan against Carolina was so conservative that it thinks Donald Trump is liberal. That's the joke.
Oh my God, Splash.
So anyways, I don't know what the heck the Patriots are doing. The Saints have a really good defense. Don't sleep on it. The offense is Jameis contingent and Kamara, but Jameis contingent. Bengals, Steelers. Bengals 24, Steelers 10. What a big win. Joe Burrow was awesome, man.
I love Joe
Burrow is really freaking good at football, and he's not going to get the respect he deserves because he plays for Cincinnati and he is coached by Zach Taylor. But he is an awesome quarterback, man. I love watching him play. He is such a quick processor that Matt Ryan, he might be the 3rd or 4th fastest processor in the league. Now, he doesn't have the arm talent to be Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Kyler. But he processes the game at such a high level that when he has time to throw, and he did have time to throw, Pittsburgh didn't get in. Pittsburgh snapped their streak. It was an NFL record for consecutive sacks, games with a sack.
How do you lose that streak to the Bengals?
The Bengals. They were starting a rookie left guard that everyone slandered.
Goodness.
He didn't allow any pressures, but he did have like a 30 PFF grade. Anyways, great win for Cincinnati. I like what they're doing. Baltimore 19, Detroit 17. We touched on this. I think Baltimore is the better team for 60 minutes, but you're going to say, delay of game. I get it. Justin Tucker banged from 66.
Imagine, I feel so bad for Detroit.
Yes, I do too.
I feel horrible for
Detroit. My dad.
Like, how do you have to lose the game and go 0-3 on a 66-yard field goal?
I don't even think I can make a 66-yard field goal in Madden without adjusting some things.
Justin Tucker is incredible.
So,
incredible.
Moving on to the late window, Denver 26, Jets 0. I'm not going to say anything about the Jets because they didn't show up. Teddy Bridgewater looking good. Jerry Jeudy out. KJ Hamler out. Tim Patrick, star. Cortland Sutton, star. Offensive line, good. Defensive line, also very good. Shout out to Draymond Jones. He was great. Justin Simmons was awesome again. All-pro form for him. Vegas in overtime, 31. Dolphins 28. Weird game. I think Vegas is losing some of its luster. They're a much better. I think they're a better team than Miami, but they didn't show it.
The Raiders have 2 of their wins in overtime this year.
Yeah, and they're a 55-yard field goal from Carlson away from losing to Baltimore. And I think if Tua plays, I think Miami beats Vegas. Rams 34, Bucs 24. We touched on this in the intro. Big win for the Rams. I got this one totally wrong. Congrats to you guys. Stafford looked great.
Remember that
Kupp
receiver I mentioned coming off of an ACL a couple of years ago? Mr.
Yes.
Cooper Kupp. Oh my goodness. He is we need to come up with a nickname for that Kupp and Stafford connection. I don't know what a good nickname could be. I'm trying to think of one still, but oh goodness, I love watching these guys play.
Yeah, it's unreal. Deshaun Jackson, he showed up. Also, Sean McVay's wheels showed up. I want to give
more hyped in this game than I've ever seen him ever. Like, he was going crazy at the half when they missed the kick, and then he just comes out sprinting with
D-Jax. Okay. I want to give a big shout out. Austin Corbett, your right guard. He was spectacular. This is a
fantastic.
Really good defensive front from Tampa. The interior guys with Vea and Sue are awesome.
Speaking of the O-line.
Lulls.
Speaking of the O-line, Brian Allen is a guy I want to give a shout out to as well. He was coming in to replace, what's his name? Austin Blythe at center.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was confused as to why the Rams released Austin Blythe. We thought that Brian Allen looked like bad. Like, he lost his job to Blythe because of like injuries or some other kind of concern like that or whatever it was. He was not playing well, I think was another big deal.
Right.
So far through these 3 games, Brian Allen has been fantastic.
Yes, he has.
He's been clamping so many different guys. It's ridiculous.
So love to see that.
I love that our offensive line is playing. Like, that was the one thing.
Havenstein's been great too. Whitworth has been great too.
Whitworth is looking good. It might be his last year, but if he goes out on top, then screw it.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I love when our weak point. I thought our weak point coming into this year was our offensive line, and our offensive line is showing up and showing out every week. I love to see it.
Defensively, Ramsey. Aaron Donald is in my team of the week. Nothing.
Kenny Young looked good. He got
Baltimore legend Kenny Young
gets the sack on Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tom Brady. By the way, SoFi Stadium. It's loud.
It was rocking.
It's loud. It's up there on par with stadiums like Kansas City, like that was Seattle. Great. It's loud.
So speaking of Seattle, Minnesota 30, Seahawks 17. This was more of a case of Minnesota looks pretty good than Seattle looks bad to me. Seattle defense was conceding a lot of yards, but it happens. Alexander Mattison was 1 yard away from getting a guy a huge payday. I think before the Cook injury, he bet on Madison to lead the day in rushing, and Derrick Henry beat him out by 1 yard. So poor guy. Hope you won some money on something else. Sunday Night Football, Packers 30. Niners 28, game-winning drive, clutch as always from Aaron Rodgers.
I tweeted this.
Wait a minute. Whoa. You know how Aaron Rodgers never beats good teams when he trails in the fourth quarter? Now, granted, I think that thing is a trailing by more than 1. I think San Francisco's only lead of the game was 28-27. But my point stands. This doesn't happen for Aaron Rodgers very often. So, wow. History with an exclamation point. Then Monday night, Dallas 40, Philly 21. Dak was good. Zeke
Eagles
and Pollard were productive.
Eagles.
Cedric Wilson is the GOAT. Zach Martin was great. Tyron Smith was great. Martin was passable. Micah Parsons.
CeeDee Lamb looked really solid.
Yeah, Micah Parsons was unreal. Big shout out Trayvon Diggs, my guy Trayvon Diggs. Also Osa Odigizua, who I thought would be a good Aaron Donald, not Aaron Donald, but like 2% of Aaron Donald for the Chargers, but the Chargers didn't draft him. Dallas did. So congratulations, you got 2% of Aaron Donald.
Going back to Green Bay and San Francisco for a second, I literally said on my Twitter, I was like, you know what? Respect to the 49ers. They played a very solid game. 37 seconds is too much time for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
You cannot give them the ball back at all. We saw it. I saw it in 2018. The Rams looked like they were about to put the game away against the Packers after that fumble recovery. Had about like a minute left in the game or something. Todd Gurley breaks free, gets the first down. Looks like he's gonna score a touchdown, and he just walks along the goal line pretty much and says like, "Nah, we're just gonna let the clock run out." You never give the ball back to Aaron Rodgers. Never.
For sure. So anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it up?
NHL's coming back soon. Preseason started.
The Kraken won their first preseason game.
They did. I don't even remember where they played it. Somewhere in Seattle,
they were
I guess.
Favored, I think.
They played against the Canucks.
Yeah, they were favored. So congratulations. Baseball playoffs. My Braves are up 2.5 games on the Phillies. If they sweep the Phillies in this upcoming series, they have clinched the NL East. If they win 2 out of 3, they will have a 1-game magic number. If they win 1 out of 3, they'll have a 3-game magic number. And if the Phillies sweep, they will have a 4-game magic number. Jack, your Dodgers are still 1 game behind the Giants, yes?
2 games behind the Giants.
Okay.
We got a big series against the Padres coming up, and the Padres.
Are you still in the chat, Holden? I can answer your question.
If the Padres are the Dodgers live in their heads rent free. It's kind of ridiculous to think about.
Yeah, I think the Padres are going to finish with a losing record, right? The Mets are finishing with a losing record. So, good job, Mets. Good job, Padres. You suck.
Free fall achieved. Congratulations.
Yeah, woo. American League East is crazy. There are 3 teams within like 2 games of each other. The Rays have won the division, but the Red Sox, Yankees, and Blue Jays are all fighting for wild card spots. The Seattle Mariners have the longest postseason drought of any Big 4 team. They are still in contention. They're, I think, a game and a half out. Oakland is in free fall. Chicago, the White Sox are just chilling. The Brewers are chilling. The Cardinals haven't lost in a month, it seems. They've legitimately gone 2 weeks just straight undefeated. They've won 16 in a row. It's one of the longest winning streaks in the NL in a long time. So anything else to touch on?
I think that is about it. That's kind of all I got. Kind of a messy show a little bit. Today was kind of all over the place.
It was off the rails.
Sometimes it's just like that.
Yeah,
we had some disconnects, unfortunately, some technical difficulties
with that said, thank you guys for watching. Long show, hour 22. Make sure you like the stream, give us a thumbs up. Make sure you drop a comment. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Whatever. Ring the notification bell. Ring a ding ding da ding ding da ding ding. Follow us on ring that joik bell or that
can't think of any of the players.
I was thinking of Jerome Bettis. That's not a Bell. George Bell, 1987 American League MVP. Anyways, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram @UStadium. And with that said, Aaron Donald.